So the governor has declared, oh, wait, excuse me. Should we talk about, this is the Planning Commission? Okay. So this is the Planning Commission meeting of May 26, 2021. I have to read a few things here. The governor has declared a state of emergency to exist in California as a result of the threat of the COVID-19, aka the coronavirus. The governor has issued Executive Order N3320, which directs Californians to follow public health directives, including canceling large gatherings. The executive order also allows local legislative bodies to hold meetings via conference calls while still meeting state transparency requirements. The public health and well-being are the top priority of the city of Yuba City, and you are urged to take all appropriate health safety precautions. All right, so this meeting is utilizing Zoom application for this live broadcast. For this meeting, we will be using the questions and answers functionality of this tool in order to accommodate public comment. On your device, the questions and answers section of the app is located at the bottom of the Zoom screen that is on the bottom of your screen. For those who would like to comment during the meeting, please enter your comment into the questions and answers portions of the app and be sure to state the item you will be commenting on. During the public comment of each item, staff will read aloud the comments provided by the public for all to hear for that specific item. Be timely with your questions, as once the public hearing is closed or the item has been discussed by Planning Commission and voted on, no more comments will be accepted for that item. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Can I have roll call, please?
Chairwoman Blake. Vice Chairwoman Silman.
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Here.
Commissioner Adams. Commissioner Brookman.
Here.
Commissioner Dale. Commissioner Dosher.
Here.
All right, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you do that for us? Okay. So you are welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Public comment on items not listed on the agenda will be heard at this time. Comments on controversial items may be limited, and large groups are encouraged to select representatives to express the opinions of the group. Members of the public submitting written requests at least 24 hours prior to the meeting will be normally allotted 5 minutes. Do we have any comments from the public?
There are no written requests.
Okay. Oh, let's see. All right, so okay, I'm reading the red and trying to look at the blue. So ask the Planning Commission if there's any interest in modifying the agenda or approving the agenda.
No.
Okay. Do we need to conduct a vote to approve the agenda? Okay.
Move we approve it.
Move to approve by Commissioner Dosher.
Second.
There you go. Okay. This is just too good. All right. So minutes from the April 28th, 2021. Can we take a vote to approve the minutes?
Do we need actually to vote first? We have to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you,
That was just a,
oh, all in favor? Or do you want to do a roll call? Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Dosher.
Yes.
Told you that's why. Why'd you?
Commissioner Brookman.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
yes.
Vice Chairwoman Silman.
Yes. All right. I have to do Michelle proud. So now we need the approval of minutes from April 28th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
A motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Dosher.
Yes.
Commissioner Brookman.
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Silman.
Yes. All right, so we're going to number 5, Yuba City Capital Improvement Project Budget, 2021 to 2026. Oh, that sounds so long. Ben.
So we're right in the midst of budget season with the city having its workshop yesterday, a special meeting, and then we'll have 2 city council meetings in June to adopt it by July. And so as an annual requirement with the budget, through the general plan and through state law, the planning commission is supposed to take a look at the capital improvement budget and look at specific items related to land acquisitions, deposition of land, street vacations, and any sort of construction with public buildings and structures, just to make sure the projects are consistent with the general plan. And so I'm going to give a quick recap of the projects, just a high level, and I could go into the weeds on any of them. I'll put on my public works hat from the past and be happy. And then Diana also provided a pretty detailed report for me if we need to go into it. And so, so with that, so here's the state law, and really it makes sense. It's supposed to come to you as one of the bodies to just make sure that we're not going sideways with some sort of project that's not in line with our general plan. And so with that, the CIP, it's broken into different elements. Pretty much general projects, then we have safety projects, and then it goes into water, sewer, and then roads. And so how they're grouped in these tables is how it's grouped in the CIP. And so not large dollar amounts. There's nothing outstanding, that really resonates with money with these projects as we go through them, I guess. Even though I'm saying that with a $500,000 bill on this one, there's the American recovery money hasn't been put into this. And so what I guess I would say is this is a typical budget. There's not a lot of huge swings or new added projects with this year's CIP. With this one, $500,000 is a big allotment for our general plan implementation budget. And where that came from last year, we didn't fund it, and where this year they funded it. But what I've asked for is the $200,000 a year just to start building that project account up. So when we get to a new general plan requirement that costs $1 million or $2 million, we're not left out to dry that we can't do it. And part of this, the other amount is $300,000 is to show a grant that I've received a grant. These last couple of years, there's been a lot of money floating through the state regarding housing and housing plan updates that we're utilizing this $300,000 to do our housing element update and then some zoning code. So really it's $200,000 city money, $300,000 state money. And a lot of that on these, there's different funding sources tied to each one of these. It's not all city money per se. There's a lot of grants, road funds, or different funding sources, CDBG, that go into them. So city hall improvements, $310,000, improvements to buildings and grounds. This is really a regular account. It's taking care of, a lot of stuff going on with required upgrades for the virtual, to bring this up into compliance so we can handle the virtual stuff, and then also handles ADA improvements, and then our ongoing HVAC stuff that is pretty substantial around the city. Here's some past projects annually with the park improvements, the phase 2 of the Feather River Parkway that fall under the facilities item. Community service projects, we have capital replacement, Harder Parkway, that's a big one that's coming here. We're trying to get it out next fall. Blackburn Tally Field improvements, they're starting to program some money for the scoreboards that are 30 plus years old. We have well installations at some of the parks that we need to finish, so we're not paying for city water. We actually use groundwater for them. Just it's cheaper to irrigate with groundwater versus paying for cleaned water. In Blackburn Tally scoreboard replacement there, the Feather River Park lot improvements, senior center. So here's a lot of fun projects that Public Works is working on. Pros to work on over the next couple of years. So they're just starting to put money into them. And so here's some examples of some recent where they did some improvements. Fire Station 3, where they took the brick veneer off because it was falling off, re-stuccoed it, some new flooring at the fire station. Dispatch received updates to the dispatch center just to improve the working conditions there, the desk and the space. The Fire Station 1 had a very needed roof repair. And then with the PD evidence loft, there's some work there in the past. And as I talked, they're looking to program some money for the new kind of a phased programming for the evidence storage room in the new parking lot. Public safety, fire station renovation and repair. This is the account that's kind of a catch-all for some of those. There's a lot of work needed on some of these fire stations that are aging. Police department evidence storage room. We talked about Fire Station 4 training grounds. It's to put money, program money annually to build it up for future improvements. And fire storage PPE, which is CDBG, CV funding, some CARES funding for their turnouts. Here's some examples of recent street projects. We got the ADA ramp project that's just finishing up around town. If you've seen that, Franklin Avenue improvements that's been ongoing, that's finished up relatively recently, a couple months back, where they put sidewalks, curb and gutter, and resurfaced the road. And then obviously the Fifth Street Bridge replacement project wrapped up last year with some of the final closeout stuff still going on with the final payment. My understanding was just made this last week to close that out and wrap that project up. So street projects, drainage, that's a bigger than usual drainage dollar amount. Usually you'll see $150,000, $200,000 a year. What I've been told is that they prioritize some funds into the drainage improvements this year to handle some drainage issues down off Jones Road, where they think they've had a pipe collapse and handle some of with pipe costs and construction being so substantial right now, there's some money put in there for that. This is a cool picture of the inside of the harder storage tank. So I don't know if anybody's seen they painted it blue a while ago across from Walmart, repainted it. It was starting to get kind of rough looking on the outside. That's the inside of the tank where they do a special epoxy coat. So they have to strip it down and then put a special epoxy lining in there. And so they're just starting to wrap one of the tanks up, is my understanding, and move into the next tank. And so, and then we have some funds that go into general, just maintenance and repair of our water and wastewater facilities. Just with them aging, they're from the 60s, and there's constant repairs for all the processes and the different equipment there. So water project, second groundwater well, that one's got some grant money. It's kind of an interesting project. These are carryovers. The Berry School water transmission line project, that's getting really close. My understanding, it's been really close for a couple of years. The project plans and everything's been done and submitted, and they're just waiting for final confirmation from the state that they're going to pay for it. And then with the new estimates, as things continue to adjust with inflation, and so then they're going to kick that one out. Wastewater projects, that's a UFO picture. I don't know if you've seen that one before, but that's the lid to our digester. And so if you ever get an opportunity to go to the wastewater plant, it's a pretty dynamic place, just on how they pump the oxygen in there to grow the bugs, and all the pumps, and the digesters, the clarifiers, the second clarifiers, and then the presses. It's and to get it to a level that's really cleaner than the river, then we take it in from the river at the water plant. And so so there's a major project that was being wrapped up here last year. It was a substantial project where we had to put we had to basically release bonds in order to fund the project, which included digester improvements and then major electrical and SCADA work on how they control the systems down there. And so that's wrapping up. But there's always more, there's always more. With the big one up here, this one Diana shared, and not to fool you, but really this is the animal right here that's coming out at the city here over the next couple of years. And so we have a pipe that goes out to the river. It's called the diffuser. With the changes in the channel, it's out of the water. It's on the side of the bank. And so we're not meeting our discharge requirements under our permit, and they've given us a certain amount of time to go towards that. But in order to have a diffuser that meets the permits and be in a stable spot in the river, when Orville washed a mountain down the river, because you're putting a pipe there and you don't want it to get buried. So you're looking at a project estimate. So this is just to finish the design, but where we're at from taking the plans from the 30% to finish. But really, it's a $35 million, $50 million project by the time it's done, which equals rate increases for the customers. So really, that's a quick recap of the budget. There's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of moving parts, a lot of different funding sources. When reviewing this per the purview of looking at it under those requirements that it's in accordance with the general plan, the staff feels that all these projects are in accordance with the general plan. And so with that, our recommendation is to find that the project list in the fiscal year 21-26 Yuba City Capital Improvement Project budget is consistent with the Yuba City General Plan and forward findings to the City Council. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Are there any questions from commissioners?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity. So, didn't we, I know this is, we're supposed to do this once a year. Didn't we just go through this not long ago with some transportation stuff and talked about?
Every year, the time escapes.
Gone, it's been a year already since we did
Yeah,
that?
it's been a year, I think. And so,
COVID.
yeah,
That's been a year?
yeah.
Wow. I thought maybe we went over it like in January or something. Holy mackerel. Okay. Question on the Bridge Street one, the $5 million. What area? Jack and I were just saying the same thing. What area does that cover?
Like a block.
That's just
So that area is phase 3, we're calling phase 4. I think it's phase 3. And we're calling that the phase 3, but it's the segment from Gray to Cooper.
Okay.
And so it's basically going to be from the intersection of Gray, widen that out where those houses have first been taken down.
right.
Widen that out and go to where the improvements ended at Cooper. And so there's $2.5 million grant that the city's received through SACOG, and then we're going to fund the other portion with some everybody's registration funds. So every time you pay your high registration tax now, that's going into a pot of money that the city's stockholding for the Bridge Street project. But there's real concerns. I mean, that project's as far as it's really heavy with pipes, infrastructure, roads, and just with the demand of the economy on contractors plus the demand of the prices, there's potential for that price to exponentially go up. Which so we'll work through.
Okay. And has all the real estate been acquired necessary
It has.
to do that? So that doesn't include any real estate
So
acquisition?
the real estate was completed at least a year ago or sometime within the last year, but it's been done for months plus, if not over a year for that. There was a little bit, some final work with relocating a couple of the tenants that were managed through our regional housing authority partnership with one of our programs. Took a little time to relocate them because we had to find other opportunities for housing for them, which was tough.
Okay. One last question. This might be a little off topic, but I saw that you had some money allocated for the police. Is that their real estate, the police headquarters? Is that what that dollars are for? Police department, so it's just for the evidence storage? Is that what that's for?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. And so the evidence storage building, and so let me make sure I don't say it. So with the parking lot, so that we built a new parking lot a few years back, time flies. But in that, there was an area we left out for a future building associated with an evidence room. And so my understanding is that with the American Recovery funds that are coming to the city, some of those funds might be programmed to go towards that evidence room, building a phase of it. Let me confirm that 108 is not a different.
But the off-topic question I had relative to that, was there any funds allocated for like active shooter type of scenarios that the police, they conduct themselves in training? Because we just had another one, of course, today.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, did any of this money go towards maybe allocating for that type of training? God forbid whatever happened here again?
So not through the CIP. So through the operational budgets, there's definitely money
Okay.
put in for different training, and through the HR department, I think we have I want to say one came across my desk for
Okay.
for the try to and we've had a couple over the years here, but there is actually one pending for a training citywide here soon.
Okay, so they do that type of training and that's not part of that.
For the capital improvement project, pretty much this is anything structural,
Yeah, it's real.
permanent in place over 5 years.
Okay, awesome. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you, Ben.
Is it, so on Bridge Street is all gonna look uniform as you go down with the way the middle part? Is it gonna look the same?
That is the intent. And so the intent is that the medians would continue with the lights. But at the same time, we recognize that we don't want to kill that corridor by making it a freeway through the residential area. And so, and we want that corridor to still be active. And so they're doing some last minute tweaks. I wouldn't say last minute. They've been working over the last 6 months. We actually coordinate with SACOG and some of their professionals kind of on zoning and ideas on how to make that corridor thrive. And they have some good ideas that are actually going to come to the Planning Commission and the City Council about rezoning it to turn it, those areas to maybe on the north to office commercial. So it's maybe your State Farm dealer or agent or some sort of, something that could handle that volume of traffic, but not be a real high retail area. So we'll maybe see some zoning changes where we change it to R2 or R3, so we can allow some townhouses to go in, a higher density, plus a commercial office, and then also provide some parking. We changed it to the east. There's no parking. There is parking, but there's no bike lane. And so we're trying to designate that area, shrink it up maybe a little bit to slow down the traffic as it goes through there, just because the traffic volume is going to get so large over time that it doesn't turn into a freeway that still feels like you're going through a community at a decent speed.
I'm prepared to make a motion, Madam Chair.
There are no public comments.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve staff's recommendation consistent with item number 5 on the agenda for the capital improvement program budget of 21 through 26.
Second.
Commissioner Dosher,
Yes.
Commissioner Brookman,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Stillman.
Right. So future agenda items, Ben.
So real quick, I scratched out the June 9th meeting will be canceled.
Okay.
On June 23rd, we're planning on a meeting that will have consideration of a rezone on Butte House Road for a currently designated R2 parcel to R3. We'll have a tentative subdivision map extension related to, it's a couple years old now, but it was a subdivision on Bridge Street, just west of Walton, Parm Baines piece of property. And then we'll have an outdoor dining policy. So the city's interested in memorializing the outdoor dining policy. And so, which is, I think everybody thinks is a good thing. And so, we'll have to, since it changes the zoning code, it'll come to the Planning Commission for review, and then it will go to the City Council twice. And so we're hoping to get that before you at the 23rd.
Great. All right. Report of actions of the Yuba City Planning Commission, Sutter County update. Anything?
No, ma'am, we haven't had a meeting since we last met here. Our next scheduled meeting would be June the 16th.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like I didn't make my 6 minutes, but at 6:23, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.